Where does a storm reach you? And where is your stillness? There's a Libra New Moon coming up on the 21st of October 2025. It'll be at 12:25 Universal Time. And this Libra New Moon asks us a burning question. Where do we find shelter in the whirlwind? Every new moon asks us a question which we may hear when we listen. The question now is, how can you find a sanctuary, whether it is inner, emotional, physical, or spiritual, amidst any growing storm that you find yourself in? Where do you find your shelter? This is Celestia Astrology, and I'm Sonia, your host. If you enjoy this, I ask you if you'd kindly remember to please like, subscribe, and comment with your observations of this Libra New Moon and how this is landing for you, and if these issues are showing up in your life right now. It's really helpful when we share in community how the astrology is astrologizing for us. And also, to be honest, as a small channel that's trying to reach other people who might be interested in this work, it's really important for those awful words, feeding the algorithm. It's what they like to see. So even if you don't want to share, could you please drop me an emoji, maybe a moon or a Libra emoji, if you enjoy this at all. Thank you. I'd be so grateful. So Libra teaches us all about balance, fairness, relationships and partnerships. And that's because of its ruler Venus, the planet of love and relationships. Libra theory, with its decanic rulers, Jupiter and Mercury, who occupy home signs opposite each other, bringing tension in their relationship, asks us to shelter, restore, recalibrate, as we find our place in a world that is demanding constant motion. The old adage comes to mind, you can't pour from an empty cup. Libra wants to help, mediate, and please those around them, but to be effective in the longer run, we also have to take responsibility for our own needs too. Those with placements in Libra or its opposite sign Aries, and the squaring cardinal signs Cancer and Capricorn, have had a bumpy 2 years as the nodes transited through Libra and Aries, bringing the eclipses from April 2023 and finally left after March 2025. It is time now for the dust to settle and for the changes the eclipses in these signs brought to be integrated into daily lives and routines. As the outcomes and the way forward becomes clearer, allow me to pull on the astrological threads and maybe weave some of them together for the new moon and help guide you plan that path forward. Maybe it feels like you've been teetering on a balance beam, one side pulling towards harmony and the other towards decisive action. If you've been working on healing relationships or addressing justice issues since the Libra eclipses began, allow the darkness of the night sky now to take you within, reaching inner truths. As the moon begins to grow in light, allow her to grow your plans for this part of your life and your chart, helping you in your journey towards equilibrium. Libra, the cool breeze. Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of harmony, beauty, grace, love, and connection. When Venus is in Libra, she is said to be at home. This means she can express her Venusian qualities in full, bringing diplomacy, attraction, and social attunement to the front of our minds, and supporting us in these activities. At the time of this new moon, Venus has returned to Libra, bringing her benefic attractions, or things we tend to enjoy and regard as good, to bless the new moon. Libra is an air sign, cardinal in modality and considered masculine or yang in gender, which means its nature is more outgoing and reactive. The air element brings in the realm of ideas, communication and connection across differences. Cardinal Libra adds initiative, beginnings, action and intellectual clarity, perhaps a sense of leadership or forward motion, initiating change or pivots, coming as Libra season does at the turning of the season and the changing of the light. A Libra new moon asks us to initiate balance, speak new agreements, and reset relational contracts. Saturn is exalted in Libra, bringing discipline, structure, and long-term justice to add depth to Venus's lightheartedness. But at this time of the new moon, Saturn is in Pisces and retrograde, connecting us with flowing emotions, but averse to Libra, meaning the light of its rays cannot reach the new moon. It is more of a dissolving pressure in the background, urging us to let go of rigid boundaries and reconnect to compassion, humility, and trust in flow. As the first Libra new moon since the Libra Aries eclipses in March 2025 concluded, this Libra new moon offers a fresh slate to integrate the upheaval experienced and renew themes seeded during the previous Libra Aries eclipses in 2023 to March 2025, before the nodal axis fully shifted to Pisces Virgo. Though that eclipse window has now closed, this new moon may bring to light the realizations, decisions, and emotional reckonings from that time, offering an opportunity for synthesis and understanding as events mature going forwards. You might be recognizing where you've sacrificed too much in the name of keeping peace, or where you've been rigid where flexibility was needed. You may need to release old patterns while you are setting intentions for the new. Libra energy asks not for perfect balance on that gymnast beam, but for continuous recalibration that keeps us centered amid life's fluctuations. The wisdom of the decan of Libra 3 is that the peace we seek cannot be found externally. We should aim to cultivate it inwardly. The world may spin, but we are invited to find our center and rest in the eye of the storm. As we are all likely to have experienced some impact from the Aries Libra eclipses, it might be helpful to look back over the past 2 years to trace your balance-seeking journey. What relationship themes have recurred? Where have you established more equitable connections or experienced a challenging lack of them? What still feels out of alignment? Where did you find your shelter when it got difficult? What helped you then? Perhaps you plan to initiate a conversation about boundaries with your partner, or maybe you're thinking about bringing more fairness to your workplace relationships or family roles. What is a new moon and why it matters? A new moon marks the lunar conjunction with the sun, symbolizing a fresh beginning. As the moon and sun meet roughly every 29 days, while the moon is hidden from our sight, there is a symbolic germination of intention in darkness. It is the seed moment, a time to plant what you intend to grow. The time for planting is not necessarily manifesting immediately, but setting a direction, calling in potential, and committing to a new course with trust in the unknown. Think of it as turning towards the unseen, opening to what wishes to be born. Dietrich Pessin frames lunar phases as carrying their own predictive power and legacy across time. She outlines how each moon is not just a moment, but a node in a longer lineage, creating a moon family in Lunar Shadows 3. She introduces how moon families work as extended cycles over 2 years that trace a signature through a new first quarter, full, and last quarter moon in the same sign close to the same degree. For this Libra 3 moon family, the dates are the new moon happening now at 21st of October 2025 at 28 degrees of Libra. The first quarter moon will be on the 21st of July 2026 at 28 degrees of Libra. The full moon will be on the 20th of April 2027, and that will be at 0 degrees of Scorpio. And the last quarter moon will be on the 18th of January 2028 at 28 degrees of Libra. So this new moon is the opening of this particular family. The themes we plant now may find their first fruits, clarity and illumination in the full moon of 2027. And the tensions will echo through the quarters in 2026 and January 2028. In Libra lunations generally, the story arc is relational balance, justice, negotiation, boundary work, and bridging. Libra 3 in particular carries that relational theme into more internal, shadow, edge territory. The focus moves to where balance must sometimes appear through resistance, breakdown, and inner shelter. Who may feel this most strongly? Those with Libra or cardinal, natal or birth chart planets or angles, such as Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, especially from 25 degrees of Libra to the 1st degrees of Scorpio, but also those degrees in Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, which will also be opposed or squared by the new moon. Also those with late degree air placements, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, or those whose Lord of the Year or solar return ascendant is ruled by Venus or Saturn. To work with this Libra moon family consciously, if your natal placements are activated, you might journal around your relational wounds and needs. Slow down the pace of your social demands so you commit with intention. Practice rituals that recalibrate your energetic boundaries. For example, grounding, cord cutting, meditative pauses. Consider shadow work and seek your inner calm. The moon family cycle invites us to track unfolding themes around balance, fairness, aesthetics, and diplomacy that are yet to emerge between now and the full moon in 2027. You may choose to consciously work with any of these cycles and choose the length that suits how long it will take to grow your plans. For example, for a quick, short-term goal, the monthly cycle is perfect. But for long-term plans, look for a moon family that connects with the relevant planet in your chart for optimum results. An astrologer or astro coach can help you with this. The newly launched Celestia Circle, open to paid subscribers on Substack, also supports and guides you to identify those placements and to understand the themes and how they are showing up for you. Consider upgrading your subscription to paid on Substack if you want to benefit from the group and the support in the chat to look ahead at each month's lunations, the decan of Libra 3. Each zodiac sign is divided into 3 divisions of 10 degrees. There are 30 degrees in each sign, so they divide neatly into 3. These are known as decans or phases and are older than the zodiac signs. There are 36 decans in total, each with their own story, rulers, images, and spirits. The third decan of Libra, where this new moon forms, creates a symbolic contradiction. It is co-ruled by Jupiter and Mercury. Jupiter pushes for expansion, is visionary, faith-seeking, and likes to create order, while Mercury brings lighter analysis, curiosity, and detailed examination through an analytical lens, always communicative, traveling over borders and boundaries, and likes to take things apart to understand and classify. This could account for any internal tension you may have been feeling at this time. Astrologer Austin Coppock calls the decan a gyroscope, emphasizing balance through dynamic spin. We can hold center even as things rotate around us. He writes that its secret resides in the eye of the storm, calm and clear as the chaos of desire and fear whirl all about. Yet this is a difficult set of contradictions to bear, and such a balancing act is more easily described than achieved. His book 36 Phases is out of print, but many of us are hopefully waiting for the second edition, which is promised soon. A gyroscope maintains equilibrium through controlled movement and its own momentum rather than stillness. This metaphor gives an insight into the best way to maintain balance here when everything around you spins into the metaphorical storm. Kira Ryberg names this decan Extremes in her ebook on the decans, highlighting the contrast and polarity that Libra must manage. Kira Ryberg reflects on Mercury, is known as the trickster planet, and is rather mischievous all on their own, signifying theft, lies, and deception. And that when the rulers of this decan, Jupiter and Mercury, get together, it can certainly bring chaos. Lunations such as this new moon, or if you have planets in this decan, may show the emotional toll of keeping up appearances or holding everything in place given this tension. It is important to care for the nervous system of the body or for the area of life in which Libra 3 shows up for you. There is a time to stop, breathe, and let stillness do its work. This decan urges us to confront inner edges, extremes of feeling or desire, and then return to equilibrium. The ruling planets' familiar home domiciles, Jupiter in Sagittarius and Pisces, Mercury in Gemini and Virgo, are all of the mutable signs and are in opposition to each other, Sagittarius to Gemini and Virgo to Pisces. This means there is a built-in tension of the type of wisdom and logic applied, of expansion versus detail, of faith versus clarity. That tension shows up as part of this decan's dynamic. It teaches us that we must shelter enough to rest, yet remain open enough to receive insight, discern nuance, and to re-engage. As we've seen, Libra 3 is often associated with a moment of stillness amidst turbulence. The Wild Way Oracle card is named Take Shelter and reinforces this theme with an image of a dove finding peace amid challenging storms by locating protection within it. The dove seems calm and restful in a meditative pose, with the protection of its yellow scarf, showing us it has prepared. The tree may sway in the storm, but sanctuary can be found when we consciously return to the center. The card offers keywords to help us at this time: rebalancing body and mind, restoration, and equilibrium. You may find these themes showing up in your life right now. This lunation calls for recalibrating the nervous system, taking every chance to consciously turn away from overstimulation and embracing the quiet sanctuary of equilibrium. The card's image invites us to shelter from the storms around us, recalibrate from the chaos, and find the pause in the rain. From the Wild Way Oracle Guidebook, as the rain pours down and the tree sways violently in the wind, Libra 3 Dove has found shelter and peace. Now is the time to recalibrate and return to your center. You may need to take time away from technology, revisit your meditation practice, or simply get some rest. This is the medicine that Libra 3 offers: a pause, a sanctuary, a return to self so that one can re-emerge with more refined balance. T. Susan Chang, in Reading the Decans, The Widening Gyre, associates this decan with the Four of Swords in Tarot. Chang speaks of the moment of inertia, which she describes as the difficulty of shifting in a state of spin. Chang also notes that the decan's law includes extreme behavior, erratic impulses, shamanic descent or flight. This is not to glorify chaos, but to signal the human urge to escape the ordinary mind and to seek threshold experiences. The imagery of the card shows a figure at rest, hands together, lying flat under a stained glass window, in repose, often in a religious or sacred space. There are 3 swords overhead, with one set aside. Feels like a deliberate break, intentional rest, a sacred non-doing, and is a card of retreat, recuperation, and inner processing. In a practical reading, Chang notes that this card often urges literal rest, sleep, meditation, dreaming, or shamanic journeying. She suggests that when the Four of Swords appears, you may feel compelled to lie down, to still the mind, and to listen to the quiet inner voice. This isn't passive surrender. Traditional interpretations emphasize that this card depicts necessary mental rest, a strategic retreat that allows for restoration before returning to life's battles. The figure isn't defeated, they're recuperating, gathering strength, finding their center. During this new moon, a time of the dark sky, we are supported to go within for quiet, reflective rest. You may find that a deliberate pause restores your own mental equilibrium. Your inner eye, dreaming the decans. T. Susan Chang develops this theme in her verse for Libra 3. Calm invoked for mental ease. A wheel turning in the breeze. Amidst the gyre and the spin, cloudy forces rule within. You only see my sleeping form. I am the eye within the storm. The visions of my inner eye restore my peace so I can fly. Watch in stillness. Mind the gap. Keep your vigil. Find the map. Silence also is a prayer. Real as the world may seem, it is a dream within a dream. Her words remind us that silence is not the absence of action, but can also be a sacred portal to inner vision. It is in the still point that we remember who we are and where we're going. At the time of this Libra new moon, mind the gap, and you may find the map. She writes of the eye within the storm. The Four of Swords invites us to withdraw from outer tumult, to let inner vision settle, to mind the gap between stimulus and response. The astrological conversation, Sun and Moon with Venus in Libra. The Sun and Moon is co-present with ruler Venus in her domicile. This adds to the lunation's strong Venusian emphasis. We are offered relational themes of love, relationship, and connection. Ascetic calibration, bringing more balance and peace. Negotiation for clear boundaries and respect. Rebalancing of partnerships. The luminaries are empowered to express their nature through Venusian harmony. Trine to Pluto, whole sign with impending square. At the moment of the new moon, there is a whole sign trine from Moon, Sun, and Venus in Libra to Pluto in Aquarius. But as the Sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd of October, that trine will shift into a more tense square. The Moon leads the way within hours of the new moon, This shift implies that what begins gently may meet pressure, especially around power, transformation, and hidden forces. Transits through Libra have activated a grand air trine from Pluto in Aquarius to Uranus in Gemini with the Libra planet, as well as the sextile both of the outer planets make to Neptune in Aries. If any of these impact your chart placements in air, this suggests the potential for breakthrough visionary insight, leaps of consciousness, and creative communication, especially through air channels, inspiration, thoughts and ideas, intuition and messages. Jupiter in Cancer is separating from a superior square to the Sun and Moon. Jupiter recently squared the Sun and Moon, and they are now separating. That relationship brought benefic energy into tension. Jupiter, as the superior planet, brought significations of expansion, faith, wisdom and opportunity, but required a response of action and integration. The new moon is still holding that energy, continuing that integration. We might feel the impetus to channel Jupiter's Cancerian compassion and promise into daily life. The Decan rulers in motion, Mercury, Mars and Jupiter. Libra 3's Decan rulers, Jupiter and Mercury, are now weaving into a harmonious water trine, giving form to the inner restoration this lunation calls for. Mercury is conjunct Mars in Scorpio, lending sharp focus, courage and precision to communication and thought. Mercury is moving into a degree-based trine with Jupiter in Cancer after the new moon, opening a channel of intuition, emotional honesty, and compassionate truth-telling. The combination of Mars's drive, Mercury's articulation, and Jupiter's wisdom can offer an outlet for the tension of Libra 3's opposing forces. It's a moment when inner reflection meets decisive expression, Mercury, Mars, and Scorpio. What we discover in the shelter of our own silence can soon be named, integrated, and acted upon with clarity. Journaling prompts. You might wish to reflect on: where do I feel exposed, drained, or unbalanced? What is my deepest longing for sanctuary or rest at this moment? Which relationships might need new boundaries or recalibration? In what inner voice or intuition do I sense my center or true shelter? What would it take to pause or withdraw temporarily? What support might I need, and what wisdom might I find there? Shelter ritual. Create a small, simple altar or sacred spot in your home, or maybe outdoors. Light a candle. Sit in silence and breathe, and begin to imagine a protective dome or a bubble of light around you. Identify the storms outside, and visualize them receding. See your strength growing as you rest silently. When you find your balance, notice the sensations in your body. Stay with it a little while before you slowly return. Technology fast. For one evening, try a retreat from screens. Replace scrolling with journaling, gentle yoga, breathwork, or reading, or any other preferred activity. Dream invocation. Before sleep, ask, "Show me the shelter I need now." Keep a notebook beside your bed to record your insights. Become the observer. Watch your thoughts and emotions without attachment. Notice them passing like clouds in the sky. Allow them to come and go with ease. You are not your thoughts. From this centered space, you can find shelter within yourself, honoring the Four of Swords mental restoration. Your internal balance becomes your sanctuary amidst life's storms. I've put a link to the recording of the full mindful witness observer practice if you want to try a guided meditation. And finally, picking up your threads and aligning with this new moon, returning to the question, where do we find shelter in the storm? This new moon in Libra 3 asks us to pause, step aside, and restore before we re-engage. We are reminded how important it is to find our own personal inner sanctuary that allows for relational clarity, to shelter in silence, finding our inner peace, and that the answer lies within the pause itself. Libra ruler Venus in Libra offers grace. Exaltation ruler Saturn in Pisces asks for commitment. Decan ruler Mercury with Mars in Scorpio bring discernment and courage. Decan ruler Jupiter in Cancer adds compassion. Together they craft a sanctuary of a kind, a space where thought, feeling and faith reconnect. The overarching theme of this moon is seeking, holding and fortifying shelter, The question invited us to find sanctuary. The astrology, decan, tarot, verse, and oracle all converged to suggest that shelter is not escape, but rather it is preparation of the ground from which balance and new relational vision can emerge. The wisdom from T. Susan Chang for this decan reminds us, real as the world may seem, it is a dream. Did you find your answers? May you find your center in the storm. Tend to your inner sanctuary and re-emerge with renewed balance. Travel well, friends. If you're looking for an astrologer and you enjoy my style of astrology, I currently have space to take on new clients. If you would like a personal, individual astrology reading, I set a Reiki intention for every client before the reading. You can opt out of this if you prefer when you book at celestiaastrology.com. The guardian of your portal reading is still available by donation at the special suggested price of £40 for a limited time. If you want to try a consultation from a different perspective, please read my link about this style of consultation before booking so you know that it is for you. This is special pricing for the witches season and the price must rise after. If you prefer to go deeper and work with the moon cycles and the planets in your personal chart, then I also offer Astro Coaching. Contact me through a message here or book at celestiaastrology.com. You can also become a paid subscriber on Substack and download the Astro Coaching workbook and access the archive of posts which guide you through it, working with the moons. Join the Celestia Circle, where we're working with the moon families. We'll look ahead at the two moons, the new and full moon coming up, and how you can work with your chart and the moon family to achieve effective change. Thanks again.